Hello dear folks, welcome to season 5 of our On the Call series produced by the Stars Among Us. I'm Ozzy and I'm very happy that you're tuned in to this thank you tour of mine, as each episode is a thank you card to those who have impacted my life. On this first episode of season 5, I'm shining light on Lee Brock and Seth Barrish. Hello, Seth and Lee!
Hey.
Hello, hi. Thank you so much for having us on. We're so honored.
Great to talk with you.
Love to hear those voices. Oh my gosh, it takes me back. Because you know, I studied with you guys in 2003, and that was some time ago, and those voices have stayed in my mind and heart.
No,
Before we get into that other stuff, I'd like the audience to know who these two wonderful people are. I'm going to start with Lee Brock. She's the core artistic director of the Barrow Group. And the Barrow Group offers professional emerging artists training in acting, directing, playwriting, and screenwriting. Lee Brock is co-director with her husband, Seth Barrish, of this Barrow Group, which is a multi-award-winning theater group where she has overseen, developed, and produced over 150 projects. I can't list them all here. But I'm going to pull out some good, which has won the Straw Hat Award with her husband, Seth. Old Wicked Songs, which has won the Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle Award and Garland Award. The Tricky Part, Obie Award, 2 Drama Desk nominations. All the Rage, Lucille Lortel Award, Outer Circle's Critics Circle nomination. And that is just some of the theater work. In terms of directing credits, she has directed Uncle Vanya, The Timekeepers, Orange Flower Water, and more. In 2009, she created FAB, which is a great name, which stands for About and By Women. It's a developmental company dedicated to creating projects for women. How fantastic is that? Which now serves over 100 artists. One of her personal missions is to help artists create their own projects. On the acting realm, she's done so at the Kennedy Center, Manhattan Theater Club, to name a few. Television appearances have been in Orange is the New Black, Law and Orders, the SVU, the Criminal Intent, etc. And she teaches classes, which I was so fortunate to be one of her students back in 2003. They're both parents of 2 wonderful children, and she's so lucky, a boy and a girl. How lucky is that? Seth Barrish, also known for the same pieces that I spoke about with Lee. But on top of that, he's done My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, which won the Lucille Lortel Award, Drama Desk and Outer Critics Circle nominations. Final performance at Carnegie Hall. Seth has done so much. So I'm going to shorten it, because you guys can find a lot of it online. Seth Barrish, Barrish. In terms of television, he's co-directed Thank God for Jokes for the Netflix. He's director of Mike Birbiglia's My Girlfriend's Boyfriend for Netflix. And for film, he's co-directed Sleepwalk with Me. He's screenwritten, co-written Sleepwalk with Me. He's playwritten Enemy of the People. He's worked with Berkeley Rep, New York Theater Workshop, the Geffen Playhouse, the Sundance Theater Lab. He's been an actor and directing teacher. He has served as the master teacher at the International Directors Symposium in Spoleto, Italy, and is the author of the book that I bought back then, which is An Actor's Companion, Tools for the Working Actor, which offers clean and concise tools of the trade. By the way, notable Barrow Group alumni, Anne Hathaway, Academy Award winner, Jennifer Landon, 3-time Emmy Award winner, Tony Hale, Emmy Award winner, and the Barrow Group itself, Drama Desk Award for Off-Off-Broadway Excellence. The location of the new place?
It's right around the classes starting April 1st.
Right.
So right now we've started our in-person classes. We're at a place on 29th Street, which was the old Simple Studios. And we have 2 studios which we've been doing classes there since September. And it's really been kind of a spiritual experience, bringing people together. New space is going to be 2-tiered. We're going to just get in there first to get the studios operating. And then the second tier, we're going to build our 60-seat theater in that space. Between the two of you,
you're about 30 to 36 years or so in the business.
Right. Well, actually, the Barrow Group is 36 years old. It's going to be on April 1st. It's going to be 36 years old. So we're about 40 years. We've been doing it longer than that. So we started the theater company when we were 5. So
right. I have a question. How did you meet?
We met in an acting class taught by John Stix, who was one of the acting teachers at Juilliard, and he had a professional class that he taught at the Actors and Directors Lab on 42nd Street, and Lee and I were independently studying there, and then we didn't socialize then at all, really. We just sort of, I watched Lee's astounding work. Later on, when I was forming a theater company, I was putting together a wish list of the company members, because it started as a resident ensemble, and I went back through my mental Rolodex of, who were the strongest actors I'd ever had the honor of seeing or working with or anything. And Lee was way at the top of that list. So I called Lee and asked her if she would be interested in, getting together to explore possibly starting a theater company. And at which point Lee told me, what'd you say?
We were on the phone and, Seth goes, "Hi, Lee, this is Seth from John Stick's acting class." And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm starting this theater company and, I was wondering if you wanted to be a part of it. And I said, do you have any idea how hard it is to start a theater company? And he said, yeah, I do, but no obligation. We're just going to come and work out for a bit. And I really admired your work, so I'd love for you to be a part of it. So, so that's how we kind of met.
How we met.
Yeah.
What is it like working together in the same building, the same business, the same projects at times, and going home to the same life, the life together?
It's all-encompassing. There's always an element of work going on, it kind of, not every instant, but so much of the time. We have definitely life partners, which is the more important part of it. We're work partners. And so if something comes up that's work related with regards to the Barrow Group, we're kicking it around at all hours, trying to sort our way through it and come up with solutions if there are issues, and also kick around creative ideas. And so it's a constant thing.
I think that's accurate. I think it really is a constant thing. So we are kind of teaching together. When a project comes up, we're constantly working on it. And I have the utmost respect for Seth. I think that he's one of the most talented people I know. So when we're also on a project, if I'm directing it, I'll, bring Seth in to kind of I'll have him, look at it, and the vice versa. So we're always giving each other notes on things. We're always collaborating on things, even in this new space. If it's picking tile or picking the bathroom stalls, it's just it just keeps going. It's like, what do you want for dinner? It's like, we have to think about this play, and we have to return these phone calls, and we have to make sure we pick that bathroom tile. So it's constant, and I think Seth and I both have a very, very strong work ethic, so we work a lot.
So how do you handle the conflict end of relationship? Because those things happen as well.
So you want to go ahead on that?
Well, I mean, it's, if someone needs space, they say, I need space. While these things overlap and everything, I think we both are pretty clear on that the life stuff is much higher priority, and our marriage and our relationship with our children and all that goes with that is the more important part of what we do. It just so happens that the artistic side of what we do a lot of it together, and not all of it together. I mean, there's a lot of projects that I work on independently, and there's a lot of projects that Lee works on independently.
Coming to New York, I also sang and danced and did musicals. Broadway, I just had my eyes on that, seeing all those incredible shows. And then when we started the Barrow Group, we really kind of wanted to change the world with our theater. And we still have that vision. Like all the plays that we do, hopefully we want them to have an impact on the audiences that come see the shows. So that has never wavered. That's always stayed the same.
Yeah, I mean, I would say change the world in a realistic way. It's not like we think that we're going to do a piece of art and, overnight the world's going to transform. But, the idea is that art does directly impact people. So we enjoy that. My answer to the question of, is this what you always wanted to do, would be yes and no. I just enjoyed doing theater and music and just performing arts related activities. I wanted to do that. I never envisioned that it would be in this form exactly. And when I was in college, I wasn't saying I'm going to have a theater company that I'm involved with directly or anything like that. I just wanted to express myself and collaborate with people who were like-minded.
Yeah, I think we're very, very fortunate that we are able to do what we love to do. And I love every aspect of it. I love the teaching. And you mentioned Fab Women. I love helping people develop their own work, love encouraging other artists to create their own work. And Seth also is a musician, so he's been working on his own music. And so that's a creative outlet. And I love to sing. And so all of that stuff, I feel very fortunate that we're able to constantly every day be creating. And so even when I am in class and I'm teaching class, I feel like I'm going to the theater every time I have a class. It's just so wonderful to see people's work and to be inspired by other people. So I really feel that we're so blessed.
Like any love, there's complexity to it. It's not like every instant is the most amazing thing ever. There's times when there are challenges that are challenging. And then there's times when we experience something that feels, exceedingly rewarding. And so it's a rich tapestry of stuff.
And how do you balance the demands of creating art, the demands of running a business?
Our executive director, Robert Sorrell, is amazing. And we've created an incredible team also for it. Farrah Crane, who is our school director, and Quinn, who also does a lot of development. We have really managed to have this incredible team. Also, we have about 29 teachers that teach with the Barrow Group. Mm-hmm. So, as Seth was saying, there are constant challenges every single day. Mm-hmm. And during the pandemic, we meet every morning at either 9 or 9:30 to have a staff meeting to kind of check in.
Online.
Talking about every aspect of the business. We have an incredible team that we've been working with. So that's been amazing.
We also have Candace Clift, who does a lot of our organizational maintenance work on both the live interface with people in the training program and also the online interface. And
Mark Willett, who does all of the finances.
Yeah.
And a strong board of directors who is dedicated to the company.
We're not alone. There's a whole bunch of people working on it.
What has been the biggest challenge in your professional life?
Wow, that's a very good question.
I don't know about the biggest, but I can start to articulate various challenges. Creating art that you feel is maximizing its potential and is completely in line with whatever your vision is complicated endeavor. Sometimes it goes more easily than other times. And when things are going well, it usually falls out pretty easily, and that's nice. And then sometimes when if there's a piece of art that you're working on that's not what you want it to be or what you envision, and you have to navigate that, and that can be challenging. I would say that just from the business side of things, raising money is like endlessly challenging and ongoing, in an environment where there's a lot of competition for money out there. It's challenging that the business model, at least our business model, is not wildly income producing, especially on the production side. Generally loses money, and meaning whenever we do a play, it's a losing prospect, even if we're selling out. That's challenging. And in the face of those challenges, it's sometimes challenging to keep your morale. But what I've found is that the incredible community that thinks of the Barrow Group as their home, and at this point, that's a roster of thousands of actors and writers and directors, and that community is incredibly important and instrumental in boosting not only our morale, but everyone's morale. So that keeps us going for sure.
Yeah, I think ditto, just with what Seth was saying, that maybe some of the biggest challenges, some of the shows that we have done, which were, I think so well received and such jewels, that maybe the challenge of having, more people see those shows, or just having those shows kind of move to a larger venue. That's been a challenge. And also, as Seth was articulating, just kind of raising the money. I feel like it's just constantly raising the money to kind of keep the machine operating, because creative people need to be.
I don't think we perceive that way either.
We don't sit back and go, okay, now we can kind of rest here because this has to be done, this has to be done, and more money for this, and more plays to get done, and more audiences to see the plays. So it's that continuous thing that doesn't quite let up. And unfortunately, with Seth and I, we are both very go, do, go faster people. So we don't have that other person to go, stop, slow down, take a day off. We don't have that for each other. So we kind of push each other to go a little harder and a little faster.
So with that said, what do you do when you're offline, when you're on your downtime? Is it going to see more plays, etc.? I mean, really, how do you recharge? How do you take care of yourself?
There's a lot of
serving. What you're doing is you're serving a lot. You're serving a lot to the community, and you're also serving your students, artists, etc.
Couple things. One is, if we are in service of people, and I hope that we are also served by people. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a servant capacity.
Right.
I mean that, what goes around comes around. Right. And we enjoy so much support and appreciation and engagement coming from other folks. So it doesn't feel like we're putting out a lot of energy and not getting stuff in return. That said, I think that we all honor our downtime in different ways. Lee, reads a lot, and she will watch various films and television online.
In the mornings, I will do meditation and yoga. And at night, I try to gear down, try to be in bed by 11, I say, and just even, take a bath so that you're kind of gearing down a little bit at night. And Seth also is really dedicated to his swimming. So he goes swimming every day. He carves that swimming time out for himself. And also, I think your music, you've been doing a lot of your music in your downtime, composing, which actually is still so creative, but kind of feeds that your creative spirit in a different way. So there's that kind of, that downtime.
And what makes you most proud of all that you've done?
For me, it's when I experience being deeply affected by it. And that's a combination of, things that people say, but it's more of a visceral thing. If we happen to do something and someone is clearly having a strong emotional response, I can just feel it. And that is the part that I find maybe most rewarding. So it's not that I don't tend to take in or register much, volume of something. If something has a lot of profile, I don't know that it has any more meaning to me than something that takes place in a room with, 6 people. It's the level of visceral connection that I sense when it is extreme. Kind of an epiphany for me in my whole artistic development was when we first started the company. Very early on, we did a play called Blue Window by Craig Lucas. And we did it in a theater that I don't think exists anymore, called the Corner Loft. And it sat maybe 60 people. And we would do a thing where we would do the play, and then after every audience, we had sort of refreshments and stuff to interact with, the cast would interact with the audience. This is after every show. Oh. And there was one particular performance where a woman came up to me and said, and seemingly kind of nervously, and I could tell she was shaken, she said, "Can I give you a hug?" I said, "Sure." She then proceeded to kind of fall apart in my arms, and it was really clear that what she had experienced that evening had just touched her deeply. Right. And it touched me deeply that she was touched deeply. For me, I remember in that instance saying to myself and thinking to myself, this is why I do that. Of course, I hope to have that effect on as many people as possible. And, because there's a direct relationship between what Lee was talking about, changing the world, and, which is really just impacting people, and this kind of visceral engagement. And so that's the reward for me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. And so well said, Seth. I think the things I'm most proud about, I'm going to have to say my children. Seth's going to have to say his children too first, but the children.
That goes without saying.
The children. One of my mottos is, art can heal the world, and I think I agree with, if I'm touching people, whether it's in a classroom or a reading or a play that they come to see, if they've been touched or moved or transformed in any sort of way, I'm really proud of that. I'm also so proud to watch artists come in and go, I don't know what to, do with my life as an artist. I have nothing to say. And then watch them transform to all of a sudden, producing their own shows and creating their own work and getting themselves out there in the world as artists, just with their own energy. In the classroom, and I see people kind of light up, and their confidence gets bigger. They support each other, and that they're nurturing each other. I think I'm really proud and excited about that. We have about 7 or 8 different theater companies that have come out of the Barrow Group. Oh. And I'm so proud of that, it's really about community and supporting and nurturing each other so everybody can do their best art.
That being said, any pet peeves?
Any pet peeves? These are really good
I'm sure
questions.
I have pet peeves. Here's one of mine that's tiny. This particular pet peeve, I'm not sure who I'm peeved at, other than myself. But I think a lot of times, when I hear people articulate what they think as a company we're trying to do, it doesn't reflect what we're trying to do. And I think I get peeved with myself that I'm not successfully communicating what we're trying to do. I think sometimes, our theater company is built around trying to improve and maximize the potential of storytelling. And from a performative perspective, the whole idea is that the acting that we're hoping to generate is as spontaneous and lively and...
the miscommunication is just missing. That's where I get a little frustrated. Or also, I think, always wanting to kind of move forward, or if I feel like we're stuck and moving backwards, it's maybe a pet peeve of mine. But
for these past 2 crazy years that we've had, what has been the upside for you?
That opportunity to slow down more. So even when the pandemic hit, we were in the apartment, and we did put all of the classes online. So we were teaching all those classes online, which I found really wonderful, just in how are we able to embrace it rather than resist it. Mm-hmm. So people were saying, this isn't like being in the studio. I said, no, it's not like being in the studio because we're online, but you're still doing your scenes, you're working on your craft, and it's a more intimate forum. But I thought that was really wonderful. I loved sleeping in a little bit more in the mornings. Mm-hmm. And our daughter was here, so I loved actually cooking a dinner every single night, and then we would watch a movie, kind of showing her all of those old movies. Loved just taking the walks in the park for 2 hours, just kind of slowing down, and then all of these kind of talking circles would form in the park because everyone was social distancing and having their masks. But I think the pandemic really gave us gifts of slowing down, gifts of reflection on our lives and how we could come out of this pandemic with even deeper compassion, deeper empathy, deeper, understanding of the world. So I thought some of those were gifts. I got my scrapbooks organized better. Seth, any gifts for you?
Well, that kind of stuff. I mean,
and your music.
But the pandemic first started, I just started eating ice cream sundaes like a ton, which tasted amazing. But I started to pay the price of that as time went on. For me, the biggest shift is I've been able to really dig in and do a lot more music creation, and that's definitely a result of the pandemic, because there's certain pockets of time that opened up. That's been an enormous gift for me. In terms of the world at large or other people, it's a double-edged sword. There's some things that are oddly and surprisingly nice about it, and then there's some things that are obviously challenging about it. And I think, like all of us, we all look forward to a time when things get a little more normal.
Any of those things that you have done or learned about doing in a different way during the pandemic that you're carrying forward?
Well, yeah, and like, for example, in the case of music, I've been generating music all my adult life for sure, but it's taken very particular forms. It's usually incidental music for theater when they needed scene change, or maybe I'd be hired to score back in the days before they had computers and all the software. Musicians sometimes would write a score for a straight play or something like that, and I was doing that kind of stuff. I'd written children's music for other people's projects, but I'd never put together a project of my own. And because of the pandemic, the storyline is that I had an online class. I was teaching a online solo show workshop where people are working on solo shows and they're looking for some kind of guidance. And one of the students, who is a professional actor and singer, brought in something she was working on, and she sang, and her voice just knocked my socks off. And I immediately let her know how beautiful her voice is and her songwriting and everything. And one thing led to another, and somehow it came up that I do music too, and we started to send each other our stuff and responded to each other's stuff very much. And now I have a working partner, and that particular musical relationship has led me into things that are really utterly new territory for me, in ways that I particularly enjoy. I'm now recording with musicians who have the highest caliber, and that's been incredible. And I'm writing and arranging for strings sometimes, and that's been incredible. It's all been really good.
Wow, ever evolving, ever working. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming on, because as I was saying before we started, I came to you via Sonnets of an Old Century, which was something I was hired for. Days to learn. Thank you. 6 days to learn.
It was so wonderful.
Well, I got to tell you something. I had 6 days to learn that 7-minute monologue, right? It was scary to know that Jose Rivera would be there himself.
Right.
And at the end of that time, I even lost a friend over it.
I'm sorry.
And before that, and around that time, I was also switching from being in the garment industry.
Right.
And there was so many things that were happening at that time. So much heavy stuff I was going through that going to class was steadying. And then studying with you guys was getting that encouragement, that nurturing that I needed while I was tossing balls like a juggler, like a crazy juggler. I was so grateful to you guys without having to let you know. There were certain times in class where I was so afraid to let go, because to let go would be seeing all those balls that I was juggling just fall, Yeah. So I was walking a tightrope at the time. And the night that I pulled together some of my fellow classmates to put together those two pieces, just to show you guys how much you meant to me, just before that, a major ball had fallen. So So it was at 5 o'clock that major ball fell, and then back to class and do these 2 pieces. But doing those 2 pieces for you helped me release. And in the end, I wasn't too sure if I did the right thing by even choosing what I did in terms of part of Merchants of Venice to Kabuki. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why the thought came. I don't know. I put myself, through the programs and the friends and the cast, and then the other piece from Rivera's book, but it allowed the flow of tears to fall finally for me.
Yeah.
So with that, there was an impression that I have of you, because through your nurturing, encouragement, your training, etc., at one point there was something that there was a thing that I knew that you'd like to see people move on, that also triggered me to move on in this new chosen career, regardless of the fears and whatnot that I had. But it also allowed me to take the chance to step out of all the craziness that I have, to put together those pieces separate and apart from each other, to test that I can do it. Whether it was the casting, whether it was the programs, whether it was the costuming, the pieces themselves, and directing these guys, all those things I felt really secure in doing because of the time I spent with you. That again was another layer of impact or impression upon me. So you have, and I've carried that through. Life has impeded some of the growth that I needed to have, but I've still kept the faith and kept moving on. So I needed to have you on. I am so thankful to have you guys. Thank you for taking.
Thank you for all your gifts and your talent, and thank you for asking us to talk with you. And as I said, you were so wonderful in Sonnets for an Old Century, really beautiful, and you're such a gifted performer. So I'm so pleased and happy you are doing what you're doing. So continue on.
Ditto.
To my audience, thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share, and remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny side of the street safely. Be health conscious and kind to one another. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Lee. I'm going to be watching, and I'm going to be promoting some of the things that you do going forward on my podcast from time to time. So
thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So grateful.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Okay, you have a good night too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there. Please help us in our mission to support those facing fatal diseases. Please help us in our mission by donating or shopping fatal diseases through our t-shirt sales, by donating or shopping, or supporting us at anchor.fm /Aussie supporting us at anchor.fm/Aussie Stewart. That's /Aussie Stewart. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Aussie Stewart. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Aussie Stewart. Yep. Leave a comment.